Meghan Markle has aborted the mission. Following her speech in Switzerland that no one showed up for, she went AWOL for over a month, making that her last public appearance, which has been rare over the past few years with her and Harry constantly maintaining appearances. Her website has also suffered a massive traffic decline, averaging less than 100,000 US visitors monthly. It seems like Team Sussex is under a major brand overhaul ahead of their UK visit in July, but I fear Meghan's reputation is too far gone. Welcome to the Problem with Meghan Markle. Hey everyone, and welcome back to Scandalous Media. It's Angela here, and to understand why Meghan Markle continues to struggle with her public image, we first have to go back to the very beginning. Because contrary to what some people believe today, Meghan didn't enter the royal family as a controversial figure. In fact, she entered as one of its most promising additions. So what happened? Before we start, be sure to like and subscribe for new videos every single week, put those post notifications on so you don't miss the live chat premiere we do for every single video, and check us out on social media. Now, Meghan Markle may have spent the last few years playing games with the public, but unlike her strategy, this one actually pays off. So when I found an app that rewards you for playing games you're probably already playing anyway, I had to check it out. It's called Playzone. If you're anything like me, you've probably spent way too much time on your phone lately, whether you're doom scrolling, celebrity drama, keeping up with the latest internet meltdown, or just trying to kill time in between meetings, you're already spending the time anyway. That's why I want to tell you guys about Playzone. Playzone is a free app that lets you earn real money just by playing mobile games. You download the app, choose from games like Merge Cooking. As you complete missions and progress through the games, you earn points that can be redeemed for real money. The setup is incredibly simple. Download the app, allow tracking so Playzone can verify your gameplay, start completing missions, and watch your points add up. Once you reach the minimum payout threshold, you can cash out through PayPal or redeem Amazon gift cards. What I like is that Playzone is upfront about how everything works. They partner with game developers who pay for new players, and Playzone shares part of that revenue with users. It's operated by Just Dice, a well-established gaming company, so you know exactly where the rewards are coming from. So if you're already spending time on your phone every day, you might as well get something back for it. Check out Playzone using the link at the top of my description. New users can also claim a welcome bonus to get started. Now, let's get back to Meghan Markle, because this story only gets messier from here. Meghan Markle never understood what made her famous. When Meghan first started dating Harry, she entered something that already existed. Sounds like common sense, right? Well, not to Meghan. A 1,000-year-old monarchy wasn't giving startup vibes or a blank page, and yet, to Meghan, she acted like it was her place to not only change, but attempt to run. People already liked the traditions, respected the queen, and understood the hierarchy. So everyone's first impression of Meghan was that she wasn't following royal protocol, nor did she want to. It's one thing to at least play the game, but from the moment she stepped into the royal family, she wanted things her way. And naturally, she clashed with palace staff because of her refusal to adapt. And this is something that Tom Bower touches upon in his book. It quickly became clear to everyone that Meghan wasn't here to understand the royal family or even respect them. When she sat with a senior member of the establishment who was asked to personally explain to Meghan what to expect as Harry's wife, each time Meghan just smiled, as if nothing is landing to warrant a response. Bower describes her as gazing into the distance, conscious of her looks and unwilling to accept the warning about the limitations that would be imposed on her. Even when she's told there will be a lot you can't do, her eyes glazed over. It's funny because Harry sat in on some of these meetings, yet both of them foolishly lied on Oprah and Netflix that no one prepared her for anything. But I digress. Meghan also stomped around barking orders, and it was this behavior that plagued her for years because her reputation for bullying staff in the UK lined up with what her staff said about her in the US as well. She didn't seem to understand why she couldn't act like that though. She thought that, in Hollywood, an A-list celebrity could do whatever they wanted and their people had to follow their orders. What she didn't care to realize is that a working member of the royal family works for the public, not the other way around. So it only took a few short weeks for Meghan to make a lot of enemies behind closed doors. Because of her entitlement, she would not realize what a mistake this was until 10 years down the line when there have been several reports coming out calling her a Hollywood tyrant. She operates in a Meghan knows best mentality, and had she listened to some of the advice given to her by her advisors and staff, she would have been able to manipulate the narrative better. She also thought that she could get away with writing everything off as a lie, but when you're being reported to HR for bullying staff out of office months after your wedding and years before the news hit the press, it quickly became obvious that there was mounting evidence against her, which brings me to the next point. Meghan always looks like the aggressor. The problem here was that every conflict had one common denominator. Royal family, staff, media, Spotify, Netflix executives, former friends, family. Who was at the root of it all? Meghan. Naturally, people started asking, is everyone else the problem, or is the problem staring right back at us? Meghan was too entitled to even attempt covering her tracks. You can trace every story that exposes her back to the source. For example, infatuation with the royal family and Princess Diana, exposed by her former childhood best friend. Trying to network up the ladder and get with a rich British dude, exposed by Meghan's former reporter friend. Secretly making deals with Oprah and giving her and CBS the inside scoop and exclusive photos before Archie was even born, exposed by Tom Bauer, who spoke to media sources. She was even in Piers Morgan's DMs before ghosting him after getting the intel she wanted. She didn't realize that the people you meet on your way up, you'll pass by them on your way down. Anytime someone took a chance on Meghan, she let them down by doing exactly what she's known to do, put herself first, while intentionally bringing someone down. We saw this with what she did to the One Young World charity after leaving them hanging with her diva attitude and demands for a VIP shop back in 2016. They invited her back in 2022, told her to stick to the theme of the speech, and yet when it was time to talk, she spoke all about herself and how she's this incredible person. The charity was humiliated, and co-founder Ella Robertson was quoted saying, "She's fucked it." We saw the same pattern with the royal family. They welcomed her in. Prince Charles at the time did everything he could for the wedding, including bringing all the black elements, as Meghan said on Netflix, and he even walked her down the aisle, only for her to be raising hell behind the scenes. She also had no credentials to be this entitled, never humbled herself, or put in the groundwork, as I'll get to later. Harry also makes this worse because her dominance over him is obvious, to the point where Variety said that in virtual and in-person meetings with partners, she tends to talk over or recast Harry's thoughts, sometimes while he is mid-sentence, sources say, usually preceded by a touch to the arm or thigh. For years, we've seen this play out in real time, with how Meghan would maneuver Harry with her claw, block him by standing in front of him, not make any room for him, and even interrupt him on camera. It's why, when reputable magazines expose these kinds of stories, it's not hard for the general public to cite a time when it did happen on camera. Because she has so much dominance over anything he does, whether it's his idea or not, it ends up looking like a ploy that she put him up to. And oftentimes, it's because she did. When Spare came out, it was obvious as to where Meghan's influence was. And when the backlash occurred, Meghan betrayed Harry by having her reps tell the press that she had gentle concerns about Spare, wondering if it was the right move, and that this wouldn't have been how she would have approached things. Her reps also claimed that she didn't want to get herself too involved because she would have been accused of trying to steal the limelight. And this is how you know this is an exact quote from her, because she had Harry echo that same statement on Netflix.
When someone who's marrying in, who should be a supporting act, is then stealing the limelight.
And just so it's obvious that Harry takes all the blame for Spare, her rep said that she would never have got involved in promoting such a personal project. Yup, so it was Harry making a fool of himself in the press, and simultaneously making both he and Meghan look quite challenged when he tried to pretend like Meghan accusing the royal family of racism on Oprah didn't happen.
In the Oprah interview, you accuse members of your family of racism. You don't even...
Really?
Well, oh,
The British press said that.
right.
Did Meghan ever mention they were racist?
She said there were troubling comments about
There
Archie's
was
skin
concern
color.
about his skin colour.
Right.
So as you can tell, we are dealing with a piece of work here, because I know for a fact that Harry wouldn't and couldn't come up with the idea of Spare on his own, especially when he's the one paying the repercussions for his actions now. And because I find Meghan to be a grade A narcissist, it's sick how she put him in that position where you can't exactly nail her for the crime, but you know she was the driving force behind it. That's why Meghan's dominance over him makes her look like the aggressor, and he looks like a fool. People will say, well, Harry has been foolish since day one, but it was only when Meghan got into the picture that people are like, she set him up to do XYZ. It was because the moment she came into the picture, he started acting like this. So naturally, people are like, who do I link between Harry and this stupid decision? Right, Meghan is in the middle of it all. So she continuously looks like the aggressor, and Harry allowed her to have this role in his life. But the problem with Meghan is that she is so overbearing and controlling that anything Harry does, it kind of looks like Meghan put him up to it, because he doesn't seem to have a real identity. I don't think it was Harry's idea, nor was he noticing that Catherine grimaced when Meghan asked her to use her lip gloss, or that Catherine was so angry with Meghan that she gripped the arm of the chair so tightly that her knuckles turned white. That is such a girly story, and those are clear tells that it was a story Meghan told Harry, and Harry was used as the mouthpiece to translate that to the public so Meghan avoids all blame. And if you notice, she has a lot of mouthpieces, especially ever since the Oprah interview backfired in the way that it did. Even during her days in the royal family, she had 5 friends talk to People magazine, and she claims that they did that behind her back because they were worried for her safety.
Sure, Jan.
She seems to think everyone was born 12 seconds ago and only followed her brief 72 days as a working royal, and therefore no one can piece together what we all see as a pretty blatant lie. Because if that was the case, I'm sure her friends revealing that she wrote her father a letter that she went to court over is the type of info you probably get cleared by the friend before going to the press about it. And of course that leads into another story where insiders believe that Meghan strategically had her friends reveal that there is a letter, and because they lied about her father, that prompted him to release the letter, and boom, here is where savior victim Meghan comes into the picture and claims her privacy was breached and that letter was actually copyrighted. Insane, right? It seems like a setup to me, but what do you guys think? Everything Harry and Meghan did lacked authenticity, which I'll cover more at the end. Even Harry's security claims were a cash grab whispered by Meghan because it was something that his brother had settled 20 million years ago. Harry came into this court case like he's the savior of the family. Meanwhile, if it weren't for William alerting the feds, they'd probably still be trying to uncover it right now. But that's who Meghan is. She's that whisper that provokes you to do something and then will cry, damsel in distress. Meghan's biggest issue is that she can't even see how she comes off because it seems like she is incapable of feeling genuine emotions that aren't just to satisfy her needs. Tom Bower talks about this in his Betrayal book. She didn't care to learn about why the Queen was admired or respected. Instead, she came onto the scene and felt like she should automatically have that same admiration and respect because she thought she did something revolutionary. This is like reading a book, loving the characters, the plot, and the entire story, and then seeing the book's TV show adaptation and seeing that everything you loved about the story was changed to fit the showrunner's aesthetic. The book already had a dedicated fan base who came in with expectations shaped by the original story, so why adapt it at all if you're going to completely rewrite what made it resonate in the first place? That's how TV shows and movie adaptations literally lose the plot and get cancelled. If you can't cater to your already existing audience, you can't expect to be bigger than the story. It's very rare for this to happen. So when Meghan waltzed into the royal family, used the highest budget, treated people horribly, walked in front of the Queen, constantly wanted to walk in front of William and Catherine, wanted to accept gifts and PR, and on top of that, didn't want to give back in any way, like giving the audience what they wanted, such as little things like the traditional hospital photo after a royal baby is born. It made people feel like, do you want to do anything for anyone else, or are you just here to spend our taxes on yourself? Even when it came to doing their job, like fixing diplomatic relationships with different countries, as was the case with their Africa trip back in 2018, instead, as we saw, it was a pity party that Meghan threw herself, and it struck people the wrong way. You're not entering something new, you are entering something established. You already have millions of people who like these rules and traditions. And when this is your one source of fame, and you come in and consistently clash with what a lot of people already value and are invested in, people are not going to respond well. And this plays a bigger role in why Harry and Meghan struggle today, because 6 years later, they still haven't done anything revolutionary or helpful in the slightest. Instead, we see them embark on these faux royal tours. They're now attempting to do the same job they ran away from initially. It makes people think, oh, these clowns just wanted to do things their own way. And it confirms what people already knew. That's the main thing Meghan Markle doesn't understand in these 6 crucial years after stepping away from the royal family. What did you do with your newfound freedom?
We are on the freedom flight.
Who have you helped? What have you created? And when the answer to these questions is, give exclusive photos of my kids to Netflix after berating the British media, post all this personal content after crying about privacy, and creating a wannabe reality TV show to share nothing of value, it almost makes people say, well, you were better off being a working royal since you clearly have no ideas or a real job. And this is the crux of Meghan's biggest problem today. She thought royal status would translate into Hollywood power. Being a duchess gets attention, but doesn't automatically get respect. At the beginning, Meghan had connections such as Hillary Clinton visiting her at Frogmore Cottage to hear her complain, Beyoncé texting her for breaking generational curses, Vogue's Edward Enninful having her be part of their September 2019 issue. What happened when she left the royal family? Did Hillary Clinton pay her any mind or have her be part of any exclusive political events? How about Beyoncé? Did she ever text her again or claim her publicly after Meghan used her text for clout on Netflix? Did Vogue invite Meghan for their 40 Legendary Women campaign in 2024? No. You see, Meghan didn't and still doesn't understand that those connections, opportunities, crowds, and impact came from her being part of something huge, the royal family. In true narcissist fashion, she thought that was because she was Meghan Markle and she's amazing. If that's the case, why isn't she covering Vogue's editions today? Why were there no crowds in Australia, Switzerland, and Colombia? Why wasn't Meghan invited backstage at Beyoncé's show or even invited to her movie premiere? Where was Meghan instead? Ah, yes, in the crowd, watching, like the rest of us. No special treatment for you, Meg. And for a very long time, that seemed to baffle her. Kind of like today when she shows up for a speech and no one is there. Tom Barrow writes about how Meghan undermined the Queen and acted like the Queen ran the monarchy like the president of Universal Studios, refusing to actually understand the complexities of it all. She left the royal family without a clear foundation, and 6 years later, she's still trying to build something on quicksand. Everything depends on public interest, and that's why both she and Harry's most successful projects had to do with them spilling the tea on the royal family. Their brand became the exiled who bashed the royal family 24/7. For the average person, if you ask them to name 3 notable projects of theirs since leaving the royal family, they'll likely mention Oprah, Netflix's Tell All, and Spare. And for a long time, Meghan kept faking it to try to make it. Her PR team would release all those stories about how Meghan was at the Eras Tour even though there were no photos, how she was invited to present at the Oscars but was too busy, how she was begged to come to the Met Gala but couldn't. It was in examples like her Paris Fashion Week appearance getting revealed by Pier Paolo Piccioli as Meghan inviting herself, and how Anna Wintour actually doesn't want her at the Met Gala, and how her former Suits cast didn't even have her number while they reunited at the Golden Globes. It showed us that it's all a facade. We can't believe connections we don't see. We're always hearing about how Meghan is super connected, but we never see those close A-list celebrity friendships, industry champions, or powerful collaborators publicly advocating for her. Even when she and Harry reportedly crashed Kris Jenner's 70th birthday party, she managed to have a fallout with the Kar-Jenner clan and basically forced Kim to expose her in a very subtle Kardashian way, with Kim saying that Meghan is actually her mom's friend and they never post pictures that they don't have approval for.
We were told that it was totally cool to post, and then after it was posted, I think they realized it was Remembrance Day, and they didn't want to be seen at a party, even though it's already up.
It's seen in moments like Venus Williams in absolute disbelief at how Meghan was acting at the ESPYs, clawing onto Harry as he's being called to the stage, side-eyeing her the whole night, and not getting up when Harry got on stage. And going back to what I said earlier, people gave her a chance. Netflix and Spotify both signed her and Harry for a multi-million-dollar deal. But what did we get in return? Spotify dropping them, calling them grifters, and Netflix begging them to actually do some work. She had no real footing in Hollywood, and a huge part of that has to do with this. Meghan doesn't want to do the dirty work. Meghan's severe entitlement showed us that she just wanted to inherit a billion-dollar company and claim she runs the show. She probably thought Harry had more money than he actually did. She wants the executive status immediately, and because of that, she wasn't willing to get dirty for a little while. She left the royal family less than 2 years after the wedding. She secured that baby and dipped. She went on Oprah just 1 year after leaving. She couldn't even fake it long enough to convince people that she was actually invested in making it work. Before she even left the royal family, she and Harry were on camera trying to get her pitched for voiceover work at Disney.
Yes.
And when she left, that's exactly what happened. She voiced some elephant documentary that was probably only watched by 12 people. Did she get recruited back to voice another one? No. Had Meghan left the royal family and actually led a secluded private life for a year or two, people would have been sympathetic to hear her out. But before she even left, she was negotiating deals and scamming everyone around her, so to the general public and media insiders, it was giving gold digger. And it's unbelievable how many examples I have of her doing this. Variety magazine even exposed how she was negotiating the book deal and Netflix's deal at the same time, essentially playing Netflix because she gave all the tea for Harry's book, and when Netflix found out, they were pissed because they invested all this money in them so they could get the exclusive spill. What ended up happening? The show was pushed for release before Spare, and reports at the time were saying that Meghan wasn't happy with the edits because it was so rushed. Even with Netflix, she fell out with the original director Garrett Bradley and couldn't let her do her job as director and film in their real house and in spaces that would show the real, authentic side of Meghan. Having her true self be revealed freaked her out so much, they ended up using none of Bradley's footage, and instead, we had Meghan's surveillance that she has been gathering for years on her iPhone be the main footage in the Netflix show. Seriously, go watch it if you can stomach all the lies. All the content is Meghan recording vertical videos and taking as many photos as she can. She even took photos of her own proposal, and when I saw that, I said, she was collecting content just in case it didn't pan out. She would sell the photos to TMZ or something. I just did an entire video about how Selena Gomez's marriage to Benny Blanco shattered the fake image Selena spent years building, but I ended that video saying that Selena was no longer in a place in her career where a relationship could make or break her. Had this been 2013 or 2016 when she didn't have solid cultural relevance outside of her teen relationship, sure, who she dated and what she did publicly would affect her more. But because by 2026, she had already built a beauty brand that will forever fund her lifestyle, and she had made a lot of connections and friends who are now her gateway to her true love, acting, not singing, her entire empire won't crumble because she kissed Benny Blanco's dirty feet on a podcast. Yes, I can't believe that's a real sentence that came out of my mouth, but here we are. She is still well connected to literally everyone. Selena knows everyone because I've watched her grovel and make all these connections to get her in. Back in the day, people laughed at her for being Justin Bieber's +1 at events that she never attended before he got into the picture. But now, she has a role at these events, like the Emmys and the Golden Globes. She even gets nominated here and there. And it's because she used to partake in like 15 flop movies that would bomb in reviews and make no money. She would constantly milk that Bieber drama for a decade as long as that meant she's staying in the headlines. She strategically released her breakup song right after the Bieber wedding and secured her first and only #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. So yeah, Selena can afford to kiss Benny's dirty feet because her entire livelihood doesn't depend on whether or not people accept her relationship anymore. She's already in. But she spent so many years out, and that's what Meghan doesn't understand. Where are your 15 flop projects before coming out with a tea spill on the royal family? Where are the years of secret charity stints before posting your outfits on one-off so people could shop your charity looks? Where are the speeches where you only spend them talking about something that truly matters before making self-praising speeches when you finally made it out of the woods? She popped out of the royal family womb and couldn't even wait a year before attempting to go back to her Hollywood career and do some voiceover work. She couldn't even wait for the pandemic to pass before going on Oprah and yapping about how she's a victim while people are dying every day, only to get exposed for endless lies that are now her biggest enemy because it will always be on candid camera that she said those things with her own mouth. She couldn't even wait for her father to mess up himself in front of the royal family and have that be a reason as to why she cut him off. No. She decided to cut him off right away, and now she's forever the monster who won't let the person who funded her lifestyle see his grandkids as his dying wish. And if that wasn't enough, she is the person who sent her father an email after his leg got amputated while simultaneously posing with kids from Gaza who had their limbs amputated. She never groveled, she wanted the result without the process, and that's why people can't take her seriously. She literally had an entire speech at Fortune's Most Powerful Women Summit and could only talk about how successful her first year running a brand was because narcissists, they can't see where they went wrong, nor can they admit to failure. She would say things like,
and I don't think there's any founder in year one that would say something differently, not if they had the ambition to scale in the way that I do.
Which is interesting because what we see today is website traffic absolutely declining, Netflix dropping out as an investor, no plans to move to retail, and yet it's this constant success story with Meghan and how she could help us and how we're missing out when we don't buy into this curated world of hers that doesn't exist. I believe that she wholeheartedly thought that her marriage into the royal family was her ticket to every single place, magazine, crowd, and institution. She didn't realize that people aren't as stupid as she thought. People can see through the fakeness, the aggressive niceness, the paid PR, and more importantly, all the lies. The authenticity problem. All Meghan does is lie. This is a factual statement because there is proof of one version of a story with multiple sources, and then there's Meghan's version. We saw this in the way she lied about getting married 3 days before the spectacle of a wedding, as she called it, and when the Archbishop's livelihood was practically threatened, the story had to be cleared up and corrected that, no Meghan, you didn't get married 3 days early. But she said that on Oprah to promote the idea that she doesn't care for the fame and fortune, she would get married to poor little Harry in a tent in Botswana if she could. Yet she was blowing through the royal family budget as if she was Princess Diana reincarnated. How many times did she change her engagement ring to add more bling? Oh right, 4 times. And it's not what she does that exposes her, but rather the principle. She claims she doesn't care about the glitz and glamour or titles, but went on a whole tangent lying about why Archie didn't have a title and claiming it was because this white baby was black. Purposely leaving out the crucial info of he will get his titles when Charles becomes king, which is what happened. And if you recall, she denied the title of the Earl of Dumbarton initially. Don't even get me started about how she had to apologize in a court of law for lying about supplying information to a PR book co-written by Omid Scobie, the same author who accidentally named Princess Catherine and King Charles as the royal racist who questioned this white baby's skin color in his book Endgame. As you can see, if I sit here and list all of Meghan's lies, we'll sit here until George ascends to the throne. But it's not just the lies with Meghan, it's her insane hypocrisy and contradictions. Don't put your kids on social media, it's dangerous. But here are all these family montage videos of the kids being used to promote mommy's lifestyle brand and cooking show. She covers her kids' faces on social media nowadays, but has no problem posting her friend's newborn or even taking a photo shoot stroll with sick kids in Australia while she posts her outfit deets on an AI platform she's an investor in so you could shop her charity looks. And the cherry on top really is Meghan's unlikable personality. This forced, I'm just a mom who loves to help people and everyone hates me because I'm black and not because of the 34 million reasons I just listed above, is a gig that nobody is buying a ticket to. Even when it came to the race card and how badly she tried to exploit issues she never could relate to, she herself says that,
most people didn't treat me like a black woman.
Never once are we shedding light on struggles that black women, and specifically darker-skinned women, face. It's all about this victim who, in her own words, never experienced racism before the UK. And yet we saw her practically leave a Nigerian woman off a stage so she couldn't stand in the middle next to Harry after she asked and literally embarrassed Dr. Sophie Chanduka on stage and didn't let her pose with Harry at the charity event that she's literally the chairwoman of. And don't get me started about how Harry is currently being sued for defamation by her and is accused of bullying and harassing Dr. Sophie Chanduka, who they put in an uncomfortable position by wanting her to come out and publicly defend Meghan, who was honestly 3 seconds away from pushing Dr. Chanduka off the stage. Nothing that Meghan does lines up with the values that she's constantly promoting, and nothing is more telling of that than the blood diamond story. In 2018, Meghan wore a pair of diamond earrings that had been gifted by Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, but the controversy wasn't just that she wore them. It was that after Jamal Khashoggi's murder became international news, Kensington Palace initially told reporters that the earrings had been borrowed rather than immediately disclosing where they came from. That's another example of the palace always protecting Meghan, even though palace aides were frustrated that the earrings were worn in the first place, and Meghan was advised that now is not the time to wear those earrings. That didn't stop her though. She wore them on the first night of a visit with Harry to Fiji on October 23, 2018, 3 weeks after Jamal Khashoggi was killed and dismembered in the Saudi consulate in Istanbul, and when prominent media reports were linking the Saudi crown prince to the shocking assassination. Meghan's lawyers insisted that at the time of the dinner, she was unaware of the speculation that Prince Mohammed was involved in this murder. However, well-placed sources claimed Meghan actually ignored advice from aides not to wear the jewelry. She faced intense backlash, with Mr. Eisner, the chief operating officer of Democracy for the Arab World Now, saying, "Those earrings were bought with blood money and given to her by a murderer. She has no business wearing them." I have a hard time believing that she didn't get why that would be tone deaf, especially if she was advised against it by her aides, but then again, it wouldn't be the first time Meghan denies advice. The fact that I've listed well over 30 examples to truly embody the problem with Meghan Markle is a problem itself, because no one should have that many examples against you. And this is all public information. Who knows what other travesty takes place behind closed doors that will probably see the light of day, because as I've said for over 10 years, the truth always comes out. And perhaps it's because Meghan Markle is not necessarily a clean-hearted person that all of this has happened to her. The fact that it got this bad publicly and that she never seemed to learn from her mistakes or do anything purely out of goodwill without there being something to gain says a lot about her character. And I think what makes me laugh is that at the end of all of this, she still doesn't have a real brand. Who is Meghan Markle today? Harry's wife? A duchess? A former actress? Or is it a lifestyle influencer, entrepreneur, activist, producer, podcaster, royalty spiller all at once? You tell me. Well guys, that wraps up this special deep dive, The Problem with Meghan Markle. Do you guys agree or disagree with what I've said and the examples I've chosen? And do you want a video on the problem with Prince Harry? Let me know in the comments down below. I hope you enjoyed this video. For more Meghan and Harry content, check out our playlist filled with so many videos dissecting their lies and embarrassing moments. Be sure to like and subscribe for new videos every single week. Put those post notifications on so you don't miss the live chat premiere we do for every single video. Follow us on our social media, and as always, I'll see you next time.